We were saying all sorts of stuff before you showed up, Terry. Okay, I'd like to call our second finance meeting of February to order. We want to do the Pledge of Allegiance here first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America,
the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Okay. Did everybody get a chance to see the minutes from the 16th?
Yep.
I just had one note, I think it was in those meeting minutes.
Okay.
I think it was this meeting that I was in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name wasn't listed.
Oh, thank you for noticing that. So we'll add
He
that.
did.
Thank you, John. Any other notes on that? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
I'll make the motion with that inclusion that I just mentioned.
Okay. Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended?
Aye.
I'm not even on a committee, I'm sorry, I couldn't second.
Okay.
My
and
apologies.
I think as a town board committee, you can. That's
Okay,
my
good.
understanding.
And I did.
Okay, so next on the agenda, we've got the review of the finance related resolutions for tonight, because we like to have all our meetings in one day. All right, the first one I've got, did anybody want to ask any questions on 45 before I move up to 46? It's just a rules of procedure. Okay, so let's move, so 46 is just the budget development policy. I don't know if Jared's online there. Jared had indicated to myself that he was planning on rolling that over to next month as
No.
he and Doug are working together to.
Can't roll it over because it's been rolled over.
It was laid
Has
over.
to
Has to be voted.
Voted no.
Voted
and then
no,
they'll
right.
bring a new proposal to
Right.
us.
Okay. Okay, so they're planning on creating a larger financial policy, so.
A different. I don't know about larger.
Okay, number 56, acceptance of the monthly financial reports. Any questions from anybody on those?
Does everybody, we never really at the last finance meeting got a chance to dig into that a little bit, but
Yep.
those monthly financial reports. So New York State law requires the supervisor to provide essentially regular, I think is the word that it uses, monthly financial reports, or financial reports, and we do it monthly and it's attached. So that attachment is attachment number 2 in the agenda. That's actually where you're gonna find like the budget report, kind of like where every single account is, the variance and where it's at. And then we're gonna start including the, I don't know if it's on this one or not, but the fund balance report, we're gonna start including in there. So you get a picture of that. That's also where you see like the overtime reports and everything. So there is a lot of information in there. So if anybody ever has any questions or you want to dig into that at a future finance meeting, you can do that to explain that. But there really is, it gives you a good snapshot of everything that is going on with the current financial picture.
Okay. Anybody else any questions about the monthly financial reports?
Nope.
Okay, that's kind of the standard, 57 is kind of our standard budget transfers. Anything funky in there that we should have our attention drawn to, Doug? No, okay. The next one is, we talked about at the last planning board meeting, the planning board alternate member salary of $68 per voting meeting. Any questions on that one? Okay, so that brings us down to 60. Jim's favorite Cobra headlight. light bulbs. Any questions on that? Okay. Everybody knows what's going on with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that brings us down to 61 for the mowing. So does Jim, does the state pays us to mow every year, correct? And is that basically the same amount?
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
Yeah, okay. Any questions on that one at all?
Just so everybody knows though, we mow a lot more. What's the state pay for it? Twice a year?
4
times a year.
Okay,
But we mow weekly, pretty much now,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
especially with it
Especially
being
for
the
the
businesses
businesses.
now. So the park staff has started doing that mowing and everything, so
okay.
just to keep it look nicer.
Yeah.
And then Jim's crews with the big tractors take up
Yeah,
further
well,
up the median and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
from Yuki's Road North.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. Do we want to talk about the solar law or are we hunky-dory? I don't know about, we've got a lot of financial implications on that one at this point.
Are you gonna touch on 62? Did you skip that one?
Bring it up.
62 is the transfer station facility project, so that is a capital project, and then obviously we've got reserve funds for that, so this is kind of kicking off your process with that. But there is money, there's a specifically, as we talked about, there's about $800,000 in the reserve fund specifically for transfer stations, so this is kind of the initial steps of that, but just.
Do we have any ballpark? I know we're really early in the process. About what we might be looking at.
I think that was one of the next steps that MRB was going to undertake, weren't they, Jim?
It
To
is.
start doing programming, look at a cost for it.
We've kicked around numbers before. So
There was a number a couple of years ago that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I asked that
Probably
question at
more.
that meeting. He did not have an answer
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, he was gonna look into it.
they'll pay for planning now.
Yeah.
I mean,
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would assume 2.
Yeah, okay.
And we've got about a little over 800 in the capital project, right?
But a lot of that's dependent on what the facility looks like. If we have to haul it a long way, it changes
We still have
dramatically all
update-
over
we
the
still
place.
have
Yeah,
unknowns with-
yeah,
The county.
Where we're gonna end up as a county
right.
as well.
At our last Public Works and Planning meeting, we discussed that we wanted to get the seeker done just so that it was
Ready.
ready,
Mhm.
but that we had no intention of starting this for who knows how long, because we don't know the status of trash removal.
Yeah.
And there's not, I think we discussed, Jim, before, there's not significant urgency on it at this point. We're handling it well over there, so.
I don't think it'd be wise for the town to spend time on this facility until the county knows what it's doing.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting for the Board of Supervisors to lead us through the woods on this.
Those supervisors, they're a rough
Those
crowd.
woods are pretty thick still. They are very thick.
Okay, did you want to bring anything up on 63, Doug? Or you're good?
No, I mean, I know, Adeline, you had sent an email out, and there were comments at the last town board meeting.
Mhm.
Some of those comments, I think, were opinionated on the behalf of solar companies, so we talked a little bit about, I think, previously at some of the ordinance. But
Are we talking about 64 now?
63.
63.
63 is the water course one.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, that's just setting the public hearing.
So,
And then 64 is the actual large scale.
So let's talk about this. What are we actually doing with this?
we're just voting on whether or not we like the law at this point. We've gone through the public hearings.
And you got your county planning board back, right?
So then,
Which one were you at, 63 or 64?
64.
Okay,
we're gonna amend the ordinance for solar. That's what we're doing here with this one?
What are you amending?
64.
64.
No, but what are you amending though about it? I don't remember.
I think what he's asking with the adoption of this local law, we're amending our current regulations.
Are we?
Amending the current code, right? We would be changing what is currently in town code.
To this,
Is
so
that
this
what you
will replace what's there.
To what we had reviewed and modified at the ordinance committee?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
what, it's in attachment 11 would be
Right.
what we're changing.
Because we haven't made any changes to it since it came out of ordinance.
Yeah.
So it's still the same.
If you wanted to make a change, we could do it tonight as well, so
I don't want, well,
just,
I want to move it to what we came out of the ordinance committee with.
That'll happen tonight.
yeah.
Okay.
A vote
That's what
yes,
this is.
a vote yes will make that happen tonight.
So that will be local law too,
Yeah.
for the,
Where does, I had a question, at our last meeting, we had a speaker talk about, an application that had advanced quite a ways and they were going to be asking for an extension, and Chris Nadler had written, kind of a carve-out statement that that doesn't appear in here. I was wondering if it should, or how that would be handled.
I apologize.
So
I didn't know that.
that was on the moratorium, Terry. That wasn't on this law. So
Oh, yeah, that was more.
Getting ahead of myself.
It protected these guys, so they
It's
didn't,
prednisone.
yeah. Can I blame that? Yeah, I want to blame that too.
I'll slip you a couple.
I don't want to take it, I
Okay.
just want to blame
Just a
it.
reminder to our
Okay.
members that we are being recorded. At any rate, yeah, I think there were some other amendments that might have been, they were small things. I think I sent it. Did I send that to you?
Well, there were comments made. You had sent an email out.
Yeah.
There were comments
Yeah.
that were at the last meeting, but
Yeah.
that's where you guys have to make a decision tonight, whether or not you want to entertain any of those comments that were made.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think anything went permanently nothing was permanently discussed
Changed.
about changing that, yeah.
I will,
No.
I'll go back through my notes and bring it up tonight, what it was. It wasn't anything big, it was just little. There were some, I remember at the meeting, there were some typos.
The only questions that were kept brought up were they're restoring to, what are they restoring it to, I believe?
Yeah, there was some. stuff about-
After vacating the site, what is it restored to? Is it restored to farm quality? Is it
Yes.
restored to how it previously was? There's
And
some
I
gray area
remember-
in that.
The other one was, what are they testing the soil for? Like, if we could define that, which I can understand that, because if you're gonna send out a soil for sampling, they kind of need to know what they're sampling for, so.
Well, actually, so I would actually disagree with the solar companies on that, because when they go to do the soil sampling testing, it's recorded in the soil.
Okay, so that's,
So it's not that they're testing for anything, it's just acknowledgement of what the soil conditions are, so that they
Okay.
can go back and check
Yeah.
later to see if it still matches up.
So to return
Okay.
back to
The original.
pre-existing
Yeah, right.
conditions,
that's fine, as long as we've answered that question.
as long as it
that's-
matches that and it's not returning to,
Right.
because their question was, right, returning to
Correct.
something that wasn't there before.
Well,
Yeah.
and some of the comments that were made, right, discussed a lot about how it wouldn't be a loss of agriculture, and there was that whole thing, and how, but the ag committee has talked about that multiple
is,
times,
yeah.
and they just disagree.
I have no interest in
with that.
entertaining any of those changes for that.
Okay.
Sheep don't really fit in here.
Nothing wrong with sheep. Okay. All right, so the next one was the 66, the dog control services. Did that go up, Jean?
You
Just
missed the remote participation 65.
it's not really a finance related resolution,
Okay.
that's why I'm skipping it, so. Jean, did that go up just because of the number of animals that are registered in the town, or?
no, their fees actually to the town have increased.
Oh, okay, so it's just,
Right.
is it an hourly or,
They didn't say,
okay,
but next year's fee schedule, right now, we're kind of just breaking even. So the town is actually losing a little bit of money when we're talking about doing the reminders and the envelopes and the postage and all that kind of stuff. Usually we like to keep like a $2.50 to just cover those costs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even covering our costs, our salary costs,
okay.
but just the paper and the copying and printing and the postage and everything. So probably next year's fee schedule,
Would you
you're gonna be
recommend increasing
entertaining it.
dog license fee?
Yeah.
Dog license up,
Yeah.
okay. Hang on, I'm just making note of that. Okay. Okay, 60 67, that's switching our assessor from part-time to full-time. Any questions on that?
The only thing on that, just so everybody's aware, we might need to do a budget adjustment later in the year, but we'll revisit that
Okay.
if needed.
Okay, the senior clerk for Courtney, number 68. Is there a salary change with that as well?
There is
or-
not, it's just a civil service title change, so when
Okay.
Courtney was originally hired, it was just pending on her passing an examination.
Okay, great.
And I received the results back, and we're really happy, so Courtney is now officially senior clerk.
Not surprised, she's great. Okay. The planning board secretary, number 69 for Anita Twitchell. We'll look forward to meeting her at some point. She's got some big shoes to fill, poor
She
thing.
was. She's meeting with John and Shauna too.
Okay, great. Any questions on number 69? Okay. Number 72, this is some roofing at Ononda Park. Do you want to say anything on that at all, Lindsay?
Yeah, just really quickly, so there's an attachment for you guys. We did receive 7 bids. We ended up going with Superior Exterior of the Finger Lakes. They were not the lowest bidder. They were the second lowest, but they included warranties that the lowest bidder did not, which helped our decision. There's only roughly a $6,000 difference there anyway. And they are also the ones that did the work on Crouch and Holden Pavilion last year.
Oh, good. And those have been holding up well.
Excellent.
Great. Any questions on that? Okay, and then 73, we're doing fun things with the old cabin.
Where we gonna
It's
put
useful
that?
life,
Where we gonna put it?
the trash.
We're relocating it where beavers go, okay?
Relocating the pieces somewhere.
Okay, I did have a question on 74, I just didn't know what that was, I hadn't heard anything about that before. The Chateau Olivia, is that something we should,
So it's a
You're-
project that's in the town of Gorham,
Okay.
but because of the proximity to the municipal boundary, New York State planning law 239 requires them to refer to us for comment if we would like to provide comment on it, but it's all in the town.
Is that a new build?
That's new.
And it's just within that 500 feet.
is that right down by like, the East Lake Road, I'm assuming? And,
Yeah, it's up on the hill though.
Oh.
County Road 8.
oh,
18. 18.
okay, okay. Is that in, anything in relation to, what was it now, Sunset Ridge, or whatever that's?
No.
Okay. All right, cool. The utility easement in Quail Bush, number 75. Any notes or questions on that one? Anything we could do?
They were very willing to do that, weren't they?
Well, I mean,
I guess
tear
there's
up all their yard and
But
the water.
to get rid of it and to give us the easement, I didn't fix their water problems, I think the grass will grow back.
Yes, it will, but yeah, it took a little while. Naylor had to work on this one,
Really?
so.
Okay, that's
Is that gonna-
surprising.
Is this gonna kind of be the end of it then? I know that's been something we've been working on
I
for a
hope so.
while, so.
My time frame, it will be.
Okay, good to know. All right, I don't think we need, anybody want to chat about 76 at all? Which is a surety, but, and then the contingent tax reserve, that's what we discussed at the last meeting. I did have a question. I thought we were wanting to make the contingent tax reserve $1 million balance. This is about 18 and change off of that. Is there a reason for that?
Just because it's easier, truthfully.
It is
When I'm moving
easier,
money,
okay.
so back and forth, it's just easier just to move the $500,000. I mean, other than just keeping it a flat fee. We originally, so here's what happened. I'd asked Kate to move $1.5 million from savings to checking, because we were gonna move $500,000 over to contingent tax reserve and $1 million back, and then it ended up the CMB bumped their rates, so we left it. So we moved the $1.5 million back,
Okay,
and then had the $500,000 to go. It was just paper trail mess upstairs, but anyway, no big deal.
Okay,
But it's all, so the 500,000 does bump it to 981,
okay.
right? And then within, give it a couple of months, you'll be at $1 million
Yeah,
anyway.
interest
in
is so
interest.
good.
Oh, yeah,
Interest
no,
is
I
so
just
good
was
right
wondering
now,
if
so.
there, I assume there was a reason for doing,
Just
for doing the 500 instead of the
500,
518,
that's-
but I
yeah.
just was
Yeah.
checking. So.
That's all.
Is everybody,
If you're
Cool
okay
with
with the
that?
500, it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's simple.
all right,
It's easier to track those big numbers and flat.
that,
What do we do with
that's,
that 500,000? Not
that's
what do we
fine.
do with that 518? So
That's-
it's-
that's fine, I just was, I assumed there was a reason for it, I just wanted to bring it up, so, okay.
We may have, Jared and I have talked to you too, I'm waiting for an email or message from Ryan Davis. We may need to ask you to do one more resolution tonight. It's to acknowledge Acustos, publicly acknowledge Acustos expansion, because the state has given the green light to the county IDA to make the grant application. And
They need our approval.
Ryan tells me that the state has said, don't wait for site plan approval to get the application in now while the thing is hot, and so they want something from the town board saying that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like having businesses in our community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything we can to
Expanding
help that
businesses in
move
our
forward.
community are good, okay, got it. Okay, any other questions on tonight's meeting that anybody, finance related for tonight, or really anything else, but. Okay, so Jean had approached me about the park reservation fees and wanted to chat with us all at today's meeting, so I'll let you take the floor, Jean.
So as you all know, my office is intake for all park reservations, monies and all that good stuff. So a couple of years ago, we came to the town board regarding schools in terms of the walk-in fees, and we got that resolved. Now we're having, it's really gray, is what I'll say, and please chime in. We're having a lot of people call on behalf of organizations to get the town rate, i.e. Blue Cross Blue Shield. One of their workers lives in the town, so they're putting the reservation under them, but it's actually a Blue Cross Blue Shield event. So Chris Hubler has always told us that if it's a organization, we need their certificate of liability insurance, because if something breaks, something goes wrong, whatever, we can actually go back on the company. So I'm here for some direction as to how we want to address that. Do we want to continue allowing Jane Doe, who lives in the town of Canandaigua, to make reservations for churches, organizations, watershed councils, Blue Cross Blue Shield? How do you wanna,
So you want to change organizations, so there's a church that's in the town of Canandaigua, they want to use that facility, they would then be
they would be charged the non-resident rate.
the non-resident rate, no matter what you are.
Right. This is why I'm coming to you for some
What about
guidance.
delineation might create a headache, not for profit?
We don't do
Does
that
it have-
anywhere else,
Okay.
so,
fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah,
And we don't have an organization rate, we have town and then
Non-resident,
non-town and
resident.
organization.
Mhm,
So they'd be charged essentially the same rate as a non-resident.
correct.
What's the difference, price-wise?
Fluctuates.
Depends where you go.
Some of it's, Lindsay, 25%, sometimes it's little, I mean, take Outhouse Hall, non-resident is a 150, a resident is 100. You take Gorham,
Yeah, that's okay, it's
Yeah.
not much
Yeah.
money,
It's
it's not much
not-
money, yeah.
for
Not
places like
huge.
this,
It's not much money, yeah.
I'd say
yeah.
we keep it for schools,
right,
because,
mhm,
I mean, we're the same. And then anybody else, especially because of liability as well.
Is it currently all schools or just Ontario County
it's
schools?
New York,
All New York schools.
all New York
Yeah.
schools, and then Canandaigua doesn't have to pay the walk-in fees. Any schools in the town or in Canandaigua don't
It's
pay the
sort of
walk-in.
within Canada.
So,
Right.
So I think one of the things that, and I've talked to Chris Hubler a little bit about this in the past, not recently, but right, if the resident is renting it, it's the resident's responsibility, regardless of who pays the check. So if Jane Doe, who lives on whatever street in the town of Canandaigua, does the reservation, gets the resident rate, and the check comes in as Blue Cross Blue Shield, doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
Because the resident is assigned basically the responsibility, and the resident needs to make sure that they understand that.
Okay,
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where the check comes from,
right.
because they have made the reservation under their personal name.
So they're responsible personally. Should the bad things happen, that resident is then responsible, not Blue Cross Blue Shield.
How will that affect us?
It doesn't really.
I mean, say something happens, say family rents it, something happens,
Right,
cabin burns down, I don't know.
right. But our insurance
What do we
covers
do?
it anyway.
Then we're covered, right? If there's an accident, somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
It
That's
could
their
go on
normally,
both,
right?
then, on the person who rented and.
So then if,
How big a problem is this?
We're getting more calls. It's becoming more frequent.
A couple of times it also has been like someone else calling and being like, oh, well, we'll book it under so-and-so because they live in the town.
Yeah.
And it just kind of.
So we tell them that person needs to call and make the reservation.
Right.
So how would you tease that out? I work for Blue Cross Blue Shield. I call and I say, hey, I want to reserve this for this day and this event. How would you say, well, this is really for Blue Cross Blue Shield, but you're a town resident? So how would you?
you wouldn't, would you?
How could you?
I mean, usually they come out and say, hey, we're calling on behalf of Blue Cross Blue Shield, but I live in the town and.
See, to me, we want to raise those fees right there.
Yeah.
But to get in for you as the town clerk, to get in an argument with somebody.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
just
no,
it's
no.
not worth it, right?
No.
Kick that can down then. But it seems like, to me, we should be charging people more than, if it's Blue Cross. I don't know why Blue Cross is the villain here, but.
Well,
They seem to be.
It's RIT, it's churches,
See,
it's just right across the board.
I think we
Right.
should charge those people more. I mean, my opinion.
But is it hard to track then? That's the problem. Is it create a nightmare tracking it? If it creates a nightmare tracking it, it's not worth it. But if a town
Well, and
resident,
they've come to me as well, the clerk's office, and a lot of times they find out after the reservation's already been made.
Mm.
And then how do you go back? I think that's
Yeah.
really where
In that
they're
case,
looking
then-
for direction
yeah.
on that.
I don't think you
But-
do go back at them. We don't want to make enemies over.
Just move forward.
Right, right.
Well, there
Move
could
on.
also be a question of the usage, right? I mean, there could simply be part of your process of, hi, it's Adeline Rudolph, I'm calling to reserve this for this weekend. And you could just simply say, is this for personal use? Yes, or, oh no, my company wants to host. And then you could be like, well, we need the organization to call us back and book it under the organization. I mean, if there was a specific procedure about that, if just inserting a question in there, just confirming this is for personal use or something like that, so. But and then if they lie to you, they lie to you, but.
Yeah, there's nothing to do about it. Exactly.
It is what it
So,
is,
okay, if the town board is in agreement with that, I'll bring an amendment to the fee schedule at the next meeting. I have to anyways, because Governor Hochul signed a law into effect the end of December to where now people can get a one-day marriage officiant from the town clerk's office. So I have to amend the fee schedule anyways. It's $25. We actually get to keep all $25. We don't have to
Wait
pay
a
any of
minute.
that back
Wait,
to the
what?
state. Yeah.
That's not gonna last.
So will this be more work? Are we creating more work for you doing
No.
this? All right, so that's,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Trying to create less work for
Yeah,
you.
that's
but,
right.
yeah,
how's
so.
it look on the parks end? What are your thoughts?
It doesn't affect us any one way or another,
Okay.
honestly. I mean, if we have a rental, it's
A rental's
a
a rental.
rental.
Okay.
And we always ask how many people they're expecting, looking to
so
accommodate.
we don't do online booking right now.
We do.
We do.
We do.
So-
Mhm.
So that eliminates that right away then, right?
Well, no, if you want the town rate, you have to do it basically. in
Oh, I
person,
see.
So,
So if you
You have
book
to
online,
call.
you get the higher rate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, that's,
unless you call
Unless
for
you
the
call
code.
for a code.
right.
Yeah,
and then there's some sort of personal interaction, so.
right. And a lot of people do call and say, hey, I want to schedule a first birthday party, or it's
Mhm.
graduation party, or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yes, everyone's welcome to see how it works at my daughter's graduation party this summer. Come and see.
All right, so, yeah, all right, I'll have that at the March meeting.
We
Thank
won't
you.
have a wet interception there. We're gonna be on a different lake. Sorry.
I understand.
Sorry.
Now,
Don't hate
I'm
me.
slightly more terrified now that I have a graduation party in Gorham Lodge. It's overnight, that something horrible's going to happen. I'm not going to be responsible for it, so please, no. This is- Okay,
We
great.
just won't get any sleep that night.
No, I've already enlisted another friend to join me for the observing of the 17-year-olds that evening. So, and luckily being on the town board, I can be like, kids, you need to be extra careful with this one. So, all right. If anyone else has any other questions, I think our next meeting is March 16th, and then we should have one on the 23rd, if I'm doing everything right, I believe, because we're doing the second and third Thursdays at 10:45. All the town board, all of these finance meetings will be at 10:45 unless there's some sort of change. By the way, today was a little different because we moved things around, but they should be Thursdays 10:45 on that second and third Thursday. And the 16th will be another meeting. That's the one that's before the board meeting, right? When do we have our board meeting? Yeah. So the 16th will be another meeting like this where we're really going over the agenda. But then on March 23rd, we can continue our conversation from the last meeting about fund balances and where to put things. So everyone can kind of think about that and where they want to get that general fund unassigned to.
And I would add too, to help with our thinking of that, I was in New York over last week, and I made a point of going to as much finance related as I could. And one of the ones was really good on fund balances. It was excellent. And we, you you guys probably know this, but for the board's reference, our fund balance rules are reasonable. That's I'm getting it transferred there to here right now. Anyway, it's reasonable. So the key word is reasonable. So we have that flexibility as long as it's reasonable. The comptroller is like, don't have 5 years of operating budget in your fund balance, but 30%, a third of your year's operating amount could be reasonable, even in that general unassigned amount.
But we're not in that neighborhood right now.
We're at 3. What we were before the transfer, we were in that 3 range. So my point is, we don't need to be, since the policy is our policy, and any violation, the comptroller would come back and say, well, you're not complying with your policy. So if we want to adjust our policy, we could, to allow more flexibility with that unassigned fund balance to give us more leeway. It's just something to think about as a board financially with that going forward. And they said, don't ask, everybody asks for a number because school districts get 4%. Like, if you ask, you'll get 4% and then you'll be mad. So just live with that.
Just be consistent.
Be consistent with that. So it might cause us to go back and look at our fund balance, where we are, how we have things lined up, and just to be safe. But we don't have this magic number that we need to get below coming from outside of us. Is that good in a nutshell? Yeah.
It's a great problem. It's a wonderful problem. I'm glad we have it.
Quick correction, you said that our meetings were on the second and third Thursday.
Yes.
March 9th is the second Thursday,
Okay.
and March 16th is the third Thursday.
I think that is correct.
And you
Is
said
that what we had then?
Yeah.
And you said our meeting was gonna be on the
Thank you.
16th and 23rd, so I just want to
Thank you.
clarify.
Yes, you're correct. It's on the 9th and the 16th. You're
The
correct.
23rd, we are not having a meeting then.
No, you're correct. Thank you. I had just moved that thinking I had it wrong because
Okay.
I wasn't thinking 9th is already the second one. So yes, so the 9th then, excuse me. Yes, you're correct. The 9th will be when we're having that. The 9th will be when we'll have the discussion on the funds. And then the next month,
The 9th is also a day that we're gonna be talking about some of these water projects.
So we might.
People from Farmington.
So Farmington is going to come. Thanks, Terry. Farmington would like to meet with us at, they say 3 o'clock or 3:30.
I think it's 3 o'clock, Jared.
Okay, so they wanted to meet with us about
water tower.
about the water project, North Road, any projects that impact both of us. And we had thought of combined public works finance meeting to do both of those. They'll have multiple board members, so it'll have to be an advertised.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have a quorum. So we could move that finance meeting back and do them both at that 3:30 time slot, if people are in accordance with that.
Liz, let me know what you want. I don't think we should combine them in any way. It's a very different situation, but.
Combining,
I didn't know if that's what you were implying, to put this one in conjunction with the Farmington one. but-
to do them both, if we were to have that part of the finance discussion to kind of, I was thinking combine them, since we would have them both coming here and it would be a finance
So
discussion.
it'd be here, not
anyway.
Farmington?
That's to be determined based on, because we'll have court here, it depends if we can get upstairs. Because I don't know that we want to be down here, we won't be able to meet in there.
I don't
And
think
I
we
don't
have
know
a
if
big
we have
enough
enough room upstairs, so it would have to be at Farmington, so then.
Okay, so wait, real quickly, when you're saying combining, what are you talking about combining?
With our finance and public works committees, technically combined finance public work committee meeting to discuss the public works projects and the financial implications that they have on us. The projects that we're working with Farmington, they're gonna be talking about their rates, they're gonna be talking about the numbers, where they are. And
Okay,
where they
well,
see things
I think
going
we still
forward.
need to have a separate discussion about our fund balances thing without Farmington there.
Well, and if we're at 3, and if we're gonna have it there, which we'll have to, because we can't have it here, then we won't be able to combine them.
So do we want to have a finance committee meeting the morning of the 9th, or do we want to move it to the 23rd?
So,
I would vote for putting it off.
because I'm not gonna be here on the
The,
ninth,
the,
We'll be here as
but
well.
the 20, that way you have a better idea of the outcome of that, because that may.
Yeah.
Could impact where we're gonna put our balances.
Okay, so there you go. We're moving it back to the 23rd.
So we're canceling the 9th.
Canceling the 9th. Thanks for bringing that up, John.
Anytime.
So what time and where is the other meeting?
It's at 3 o'clock to be determined.
Okay.
Most likely, I'll see Pete this afternoon. Most likely at Farmington.
That's why nobody made a peep when I said 23rd before, except for John.
Yeah.
All right, so just to confirm, so at this point, we have no finance committee meeting on March 9th. We do, however, have a Farmington Town Board, Canandaigua Town Board, water-related finance meeting, March 9th, at around 3 o'clock somewhere. Then on March 16th, we have the LDC is that morning, and then we have Finance Committee at 10:45 on March 16th, where we're gonna go over the next agenda for the town board meeting that we all have the evening of March 20th. And then March 23rd, we're gonna have a finance meeting where we discussed fund balances, and where we want to put them at which point we should know better about what's going on with the Farmington Water Project. And have had an opportunity to consider all issues, so. And then going into April, we should be back to the 13th and the 20th for our finance meetings.
I just want to throw in there that, the Public Works Committee meeting, Gene, that we had scheduled for March 10th, we're going to roll that into that meeting with Farmington. So we won't be meeting on March 10th because water is one of the big topics we always discuss anyway, so
Okay,
we'll do that with Farmington on the 9th.
Okay, thank you, Terry.
okay. Lots of changes.
Don't you think it'd be a good idea to talk about prioritizing road work?
I won't be here on the 10th.
Okay,
That's one of the big reasons.
no worries.
We can talk about that too at the finance meeting, the one on the 23rd. I mean, it's still obviously related, so, but. And yeah, that, if you can, Jim, if you can come to that meeting on the 23rd and give us an idea. We talked about the last meeting, if we could get a better idea from you about, if we were to give you some extra money from the general fund, where you'd put it. So that would be really helpful for all of us if we could have that sometime before the 23rd of March.
That's kind of why I think we ought to have a Public Works and Planning meeting
Yeah,
prior to that discussion.
Yeah,
yeah.
Talk
We'll
about it.
take care of that, Adeline.
okay.
I won't be here the 23rd, but I'll get something together.
Okay. Yeah, just so we can have that as part of the conversation on the 23rd and before, it'd be nice to have something before the 23rd, so we all get a chance to look at it and review it and come up with some opinions before we get to the 23rd, so. Does that give everybody enough time?
Well, they're not having a meeting on
We're
the
not having a
10th,
meeting, so
so
we
you're
still,
not gonna have it.
we won't have a conversation about roads
So you're talking
in
Are
April.
you-
Public Works and Planning prior to the 23rd.
Terry, are you planning on another planning public works meeting this just?
No, I,
It's not.
Just canceling it. So you're looking at April.
we'll take care of it.
Okay. Alrighty, so if anybody else has anything that they want to bring up, I think we can move to adjourn at this point. Good? All right, I'll see you guys all in, what, 6 hours? 5.5 hours for our 5 PM tonight, so. So, we've got that early start tonight, so.
And you don't need to worry about the time for the meeting on the 9th since it'll be at Farmington.
I still have to advertise.
Yeah, you have to post that. I'm waiting to hear from Peter to see if this is.
What is the plan for tonight's 5 o'clock meeting?